How's it going, everyone? So today I'm going to walk you through some of the main things that are happening in the commercial real estate scene and why we're just starting to see the beginning of a major crash ahead of us. Let's get started. Welcome back. So big favor, I take a lot of time to do this research and do the analysis to bring you this content so that you can make your money where you should be making it. So real quick, do me a favor, subscribe, and let's get started. Okay, so the commercial real estate, we know there's a lot of headwinds with COVID. People are staying at home, working from home, but what are the actual numbers? We haven't really heard a lot about the commercial real estate market. We know that banks are worried. We know that investors in commercial are a little, frantic right now. But what does it all mean? I'll tell you, one of the things that I'm doing very soon is opening a chain of barbershops. Long story there, but it's a new venture of mine. And what I'm looking for in the next 4 to 5 months is actually a really good deal on a commercial space. And I'm waiting until what seems to be the bottom of commercial before I do that. So this is a really important thing to me. And for any of you out there that invest in REITs that focus on commercial or are thinking about buying commercial space or doing something with commercial space, this is a really important video for you, okay? And as well as any other investors out there that have the capital and maybe you want to buy commercial space when it's at a low and do something with it. So here are some headlines that I've been hearing recently, right? Now, one of the main parties of this entire commercial fallout is going to be small banks. I didn't know this, but at a high level, banks in general own half of all commercial real estate loans. So what does that mean? Well, if you have banks in your portfolio, similar to Warren Buffett, you're probably pulling back on some of those positions and liquidating them so that you're not exposed when the commercial fallout actually happens, which is probably going to be happening here in the March through May, maybe June, okay? Another frightening fact is that of the 5,000 U.S. community banks, so the small unions, credit unions, small banks, they are 2 to 3 times as concentrated in commercial real estate lending as the bigger banks, right? So bigger banks have less exposure to commercial loans than that of the small banks. So even more importantly, if you're investing in the PNCs or the small banks out there, you really want to be considerate about what that impact of the bad debt and the commercial defaults are going to have on those earnings. And keep in mind, as banks begin to write off losses, they have less potential to lend capital and make the interest. So it's really a toxic situation. So again, be wary of the potential outfall or fallout of these small community banks. There's been at least 30 major retailers that have filed for bankruptcy through this pandemic. 30, it's a massive amount, right? And obviously one of the beneficiaries is Amazon. You saw that on Black Friday. The Black Friday sales year over year were down 52%, massive, right? Hotel occupancy is down 32% to date. The CEO of Starwood is claiming that around 1/3 of all hotels coming out of this COVID will be permanently bankrupt and closed down. Pretty massive. I have some other stats for you here I want to talk about. Airline capacity in October was down 58% year over year. So again, we have a lot of risk in the airlines. So consider what that might mean. Here's another one. And I think you know this if you're living in New York or the coastal markets, Boston, Seattle. Generally, rent levels have collapsed 15 to 25% in these cities. And you think about that, these are buildings that are operating with a cap rate of 3 to 7%. And now they're reducing their top line by 15 to 20%. I mean, it's just a massive reduction in their top line and will probably put them in the red. So when you think about, some opportunities, again, think about what might happen here in the next 4 to 6 months. I do think there's a lot of headwind coming for the commercial, both in the residential commercial, for the commercial retail space, and really even mixed use. Some other stats here. A recent Citigroup report on 400 properties in the retail and hotel sector found that the average decline in value was 27%, right? So there's already a discount on these properties with 27% out there. And I think we're just getting started. This is just the beginning of the collapse of these assets. And I would not be shocked to see, a lot of these hotel chains be marked down 50, 60, 70% off in the next 4 to 6 months. So keep an eye there. Now, lastly, if you think that this is just, pie in the sky talk. Look at the stock prices that are related to the REITs and the investment trusts and the funds that back these, right? They're down 42% since the valuations of Q1 or in March. I mean, massive, right? Office property REITs are down 36%. Lodging REITs are down 50%. So commercial across the board, what I'm saying is commercial across the board is getting hammered. And I think we're just starting that wave of the decline. And when you look at where COVID's going, I was just watching Jim Cramer last night, which, he's somewhat entertaining, but I think he's spot on in that there's a real sense that there might be a nationwide shutdown for 4 to 6 weeks. Biden's chief of staff mentioned it. He mentioned that there would be or he's encouraged Biden to consider a nationwide shutdown for 4 to 6 weeks. And, I won't get into politics here, but, I think there is real evidence to show that has worked in other countries, and that might push Biden to do it. And if he does, I think all these numbers that I'm saying are just going to get worse. And even if they don't shut down, I think the COVID scare, the cases are going to continue to rise for some time. Even if we have a vaccine out there, we still don't have the things in place to even deploy the vaccine, and if effectively yet. And so there's still a lot of headwinds from COVID. We're not out of the gate yet. And I think in general, if you're an opportunistic person, keep an eye on the ability to pick up some commercial deals. Maybe join a syndicate that is looking to buy commercial space in the next 4 to 6 months, and try to take advantage of these situations where assets decline in a massive manner. So, and one last thing. So really cool stuff. In the next month or two, I'm releasing several courses for my beginner investors, intermediate investors, and my more advanced investors. So I think in the past we had one master course. It was kind of all that combined. We're now going to break it out so that each of you can begin to ramp up your investment skills. And so that's coming out here very soon. So look forward to that on the site, and should be out here in the beginning of January. So looking forward to helping you get there. Thanks, y'all.